Hey, 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 Fit Mama. Jen Oliver here, your host of the Fit Mama podcast. This is the work in to your workout. Hi, and welcome to episode 17. What you focus on grows. It's amazing how quickly a full-on disaster can strike deep in our body that begins in our mind. First, we see one small thing that could go wrong, and then it ends up sending us into a tailspin, thinking that everything that could go wrong will go wrong. Then what happens if this happens? And then what about if that were to happen? And then within literal minutes of this one small, minute issue, that really isn't a big deal, everything goes to crap. I call this catastrophizing. And it's this idea that we can think of the worst case scenario. It's one of those things we naturally do, this worst case scenario thinking, or being our own worst enemy, which I've mentioned in previous podcasts. And we think that this is going to make us somehow feel better. Like if we think of all that could go wrong, then surely we will be prepared, right? No, not the case. More like you will probably become depressed and likely to spend a lot of your time feeling anxious, feeling those feelings of anxiety and racing heart or shortness of breath, a headache, a feeling of hunger or feeling of non-hunger, something coming from your gut. We cannot control everything, and that is just the nature of things. But what we can control, Fit Mama, is our focus. What are we focusing on? And what are we choosing to believe from moment to moment? Psychologists have been studying this idea for many, many years, this idea of locus of control, which is essentially how we view our perceived control over a situation. So what I mean by this locus of control is essentially saying, do I feel that I have a part in this, or do I feel that everything that happens to me? So whether you have an internal or external locus of control, your perception is a little bit different. So a person with an internal locus of control believes that he or she can influence events and their outcomes, while someone with an external locus of control blames things outside themselves for everything. So this was originally brought into literature in the 1950s and 60s, but it's really gotten traction over the last number of years with respect to health behaviors and adopting and maintaining health behaviors over time. The danger of having this external locus of control is that you believe that your life experience looks the way it does due to these external factors that are beyond your control, such as things like luck, fate, circumstance, injustice, bias, or teachers who are unfair, prejudiced, or unskilled. Whatever it is, it makes you feel that you are helpless and that you and what you actually do or think or feel makes no difference, because why even bother? It probably won't work or won't help or won't change things anyway. That's an external locus of control. This internal locus of control is the one that breeds resilience and allows you to feel that you can take charge of your health, your fitness, your mindset, or your life through this focused intention. Having an internal locus of control leads to more success towards your goals and also more positive emotions. It makes you feel a whole lot better when you feel like you have some semblance of control. Now, this is not being controlling or controlling the outcomes. It's just saying that you feel that you have the ability to control. If you want to wake up in the morning and get your workout in before the kids get up, you believe that setting your alarm, preparing your clothing, and having a plan is going to help you execute this. You don't have that external feeling that nothing is going to make a difference. We all fall prey to feelings of anxiety now and again. We all have these tendencies to worry about things, some of us more often than others, and some of us more severely than others, but we all have things in our lives that cause us a certain amount of anxiety. It may be the bills or our children's well-being. It might be the cleanliness of our homes or our increasing digits on our bathroom scale. Whatever the source of our anxiety might be, the key to actually dealing with it and perhaps even breaking free from the anxious feelings is to do something about it. Sounds easier said than done. I know, trust me. I have succumbed to many anxiety triggers in my life, and I run into new ones often. It's actually shocking. I'm so aware and always open to seeing how am I feeling? How are things around me making me feel? And it's amazing who and what can still trigger me. But now that I'm aware of it, it's how I perceive it and how I react that makes the biggest difference. It really is about taking action. And the thing is that the stressors that we have that we think lead to our anxiety don't actually cause the anxiety in and of themselves. And as we've talked about stress before, we know this, it's actually our interpretation of the stressor that makes it anxiety provoking or not. Anxiety occurs when we have inadequate resources to deal with the issue. And if stress is the issue, it's probably that we're catastrophizing and thinking about all the bad things that can happen, and then we can't even enjoy those moments to moments. For example, take something like paying the bills. The action itself is fairly benign. It's something that we all must do. These days, it's easier than ever with online banking. A simple click of a mouse and the bills are paid. You can even set up automatic bill payments so you don't ever have to remember what date this is coming out or that's happening. And it seems like it would be a no-brainer, right? We just don't even have to think about it. Simple, right? Well, if we had all the money in the world, it would be as innocuous as brushing our teeth, a simple task, or maybe one we don't even have to think about doing daily. Well, I know I'm not the only one who feels some anxiety around paying bills when the funds simply aren't available. If we overextend ourselves, if we buy something that's too expensive, we somehow justify it at the moment, and then afterwards we have that buyer's remorse or whatever the trigger is, the resources aren't able to combat that trigger, and the anxiety crops up, and then the inevitable anxious thoughts, feelings, and mindset ensues. Fortunately, there is a two-step way to deal with these stressors and these anxious, anxiety-provoking triggers that can be applied to a number of situations, and I want to share those with you today. Step one. The step one piece is really around awareness. It's about knowing your stressors and knowing how these will cause a reaction inside you. We all know people in our lives that trigger us, situations in our lives that trigger us, and it's often until they do trigger us that we realize what they are. But I want you to take a few minutes here today and think, what are these things that tend to trip me up, that tend to trigger me? How is the stress being perceived by your mind and body, right? If it's every time the phone rings and it's a debt collector, or if it's your mom, or if it's your sister, whoever, someone triggers you, this will open up your mind, right? It will open up your mind to see, okay, there's an issue. Every time the phone rings and it's my mom, I get anxious because she's probably going to tell me what I'm not doing well as a mom, or she's going to remind me that I have to come see her and I don't have time this week and I feel bad, right? What are the things that are starting to cause those stressors, those anxiety-provoking thoughts? Remember, again, the example of a bill payment. If you can notice that your heart starts to race or that you procrastinate paying the bills, you know something here is triggering me. Something is causing a stressor. Where are my resources not meeting what my needs are? Maybe if I'm moody or angry or frustrated all the time, then I can start to notice there's a problem. This is step one. It's this awareness. I know it sounds easy, but it really isn't because we're so distracted, right? We always want to keep busy. We want to do things. We are distracted by all the people and things and social media and tasks and work and cleaning and all the things in our lives that we don't slow down enough to actually assess when our heart rate is beating faster. Maybe we just go to the kitchen and grab a chocolate bar to calm our nerves. If instead we could realize that, well, it's just that normal anxiety I get every time I have to tell my mom I can't visit her this week and I'll come next week because I have this and this with kids, right? Noticing that is huge because if you can identify it, then you can deal with it. And we often have so many of these anxiety-provoking issues that we don't even know where to start. And we just have this big ball or pit in our stomach that becomes our new normal. And right now, a quick interruption of today's podcast to send some love to our show's sponsor, Four Sigmatic. Four Sigmatic is the mushroom coffee you see me posting about and drinking all the time. This stuff is so energizing, delicious, and nutritious, Fit Mama. The benefits are too many to name here. But did you know that we humans are more closely related to fungi than any other kingdom? Interesting, eh? I drink one or more of these little cups of delight almost every day, and the non-jittery boost of energy and calm that I get at the same time, as well as focus. It really helps me focus. My favorite is the Think Mix, which has lion's mane and chaga in it, which is yummy. When you bring it up towards your nose, it does have a little bit of a mushroom aroma, but it tastes so good. It's very earthy and just delicious. I'd love to know which ones you've tried and how you like them. I would really love to hear. So just to give you a quick idea, drinking your mushrooms is an incredible way to boost your immunity and keep your body and mind healthy for all the amazing things you do in a day, Fit Mama. Thank you for sharing. As a listener of the Fit Mama podcast, you receive 10% off all orders. And when they have sales, you get those orders additional 10% off. What a deal. Thank you for Sigmatic. So if we can start to notice that, you know what, I don't want that to be my normal. I don't want to feel anxiety because of my bills or because of my kids or because I haven't slept enough or because I hate my job or I got into a fight with my boss or whatever. It's about noticing it and then starting to say, hey, what can I actually do about this? What can I do to change this? What action can I take? And it can be hard to tell even how to take action, what to navigate, what to actually do to get to the other side. But that's where this awareness starts. And then this reflection on what are we in control of and what are we not? Right? Where does our ability to control a situation, or where does our internal locus of control help us? And where does the lack of control actually liberate us instead of keep us stuck, right? Sometimes we think, well, I have no control over that. Well, take an example like the weather. We have no control over it. And if it's rainy and crappy on a day that we want it to be really nice, we could sit there and be pissed all day, or we could just say, hey, you know what? This doesn't work. This doesn't fit my plan, but I'm going to make a new plan, right? I am not in control of the weather, but I am in control of how I feel in response to the weather. So what are you in control of and what are you not? And does it require you blaming someone else, or does it have you blaming someone else? Because sometimes it makes us feel better to blame, but actually it's all about taking personal responsibility. There's something called learned helplessness in the literature of psychology as well. And it's identified as a state of being where a person has that sort of don't bother, I'm not going to bother kind of mindset because they feel that they have learned that nothing that they do has any effect on the result. So imagine like a child who asks over and over, I want ice cream, I want ice cream. And then mom says, no, 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 right? They stop asking after a while because they know that if I ask, I'm still going to get this response, no. Right? It's sort of a learned helplessness response of, okay, fine, I'm not going to get that ever. Okay. Now, this is an example that may or may not apply to you, but I want you to think about it in your own world. If, for example, you're feeling like you just can't get into a routine, or you feel like you can't lose weight no matter what you try, what you do, what you work on, what you start and continue, then you start to feel completely helpless, like it's something outside yourself that is causing the results, because nothing you do is actually making any difference. And this can easily cause this thing called learned helplessness, where you feel completely helpless. You feel, well, it doesn't matter if I drink 3 liters of water a day and get my walk in and do all these things that I'm supposedly going to lose weight, because I'm not losing weight. So I just hate it and it sucks. Right? It's easy to get in this mindset if we get to that place of, I'm not going to bother. And Martin Seligman, a positive psychology expert, did an experiment with dogs, and he found out that even if they could evade the shocks after a while, so he did this experiment with dogs where he shocked them, okay? They were wearing some kind of neck collar, and he would shock them at random intervals. And they tried to stop it, right? They tried to do things to get out of it. They tried to move in different ways. And after a while, they realized, they learned, they were conditioned to understand that nothing they did would stop the shocks. So they learned helpless. Essentially became sort of depressed because they were learning the fact that nothing they did made any difference. And it's interesting because this does happen the same as humans, this leading to a depressive state because you know that you've learned that nothing I do makes any difference, right? If your kid's crying, maybe you had a colicky baby, the baby's crying, nothing you do helps, and you become, oh my gosh, I have learned that I am completely helpless in this situation. And what happens is that scientists have found this has led to levels of depression. The learned helplessness theory of depression is such that clinical depression and related mental illnesses may result from this real or perceived absence of control. This feeling that we don't have any control to overcome a negative situation, right? A child whose parent beats them or yells at them no matter what they do, they learn that they are helpless and they can't do anything about it. So this awareness, are you feeling helpless? Are you feeling like you've learned that nothing you do matters? And what has taught you that? This will help you by identifying what it is and then allowing you to take action to overcome it. And it's easy to get caught up in this woe is me mentality of our society and our culture at large, because it's back to the drawing board with our usual suspects. It's easy to get caught up in this woe is me mentality of our society and culture at large, because naturally, so many of us feel helpless to situations that are happening in our lives, which is completely understandable. When you look at the social, political, environmental climate out there right now, it has the opportunity to lead to a learned helplessness for all of us, because it seems like there are such big issues needing to be conquered. But it's back to the drawing board with our usual suspects to save the day, those being gratitude, appreciation, and reverence, and just being happy to be alive. These are the first steps, the first keys of actual change, and allowing yourself to move to this internal locus of control. So that's step one. Step one is really identifying, knowing your stressors, how you react to them, becoming aware of where you're feeling you're blaming and where you're feeling learned helplessness that is reigniting over and over that feeling of depression or anxiety that you might be feeling day to day. Step two. The next step to moving from identifying the problem to actually identifying the solution is called a solution-focused approach. Again, realizing what you focus on grows. So if we focus on the problem, we see the problem growing. And too often we get stuck in this step of identifying the problem, right? That was step one. It was becoming aware, right? Becoming aware, identifying what the issue is, where you're tripping up. But when we get stuck in that problem-focused area, then we get stuck noticing that our problems keep on growing, or the issue, or the person, or the triggers are so great that we can't get over them because we're stuck on focusing on the problem. We cannot see that solution. So that's where step two comes in. It's that focus on the solution. I just want to take another quick second here to announce a second show sponsor for today. This sponsor is Muse, brain sensing technology. As I am always talking about on the Fit Mama podcast and online, taking the time to quiet your mind, create space and calm is essential to living a loving Fit Mama life. This is achieved through meditation, among other things. One of the tools I've discovered to make this even more of an achievable goal in your life is Muse. Muse is a headband that you wear, and the sensors actually sense your brainwave activity. I know. And then it gives you feedback as to whether you are in the calm zone or if your brain patterns are a bit stormy. Literally, it has storm sounds, then birds when your brain is calm. It's very fun. It's like training your brain by lifting weights or dancing to a routine. This creates the neural pathways to help boost your connection to calm all day, every day, by training and knowing exactly how it feels. I don't think there's anything better. Real-time feedback for your brain training. It's worth it, and the data is out there to show it. Meditation improves lives, and it will improve yours. Start today with 15% off all your orders at Muse using the link in the show notes today. And back to our show. And I often run into this with clients or friends who are stuck in a situation that they find anxiety provoking. For example, they may say, I want to get into shape, but I don't have time to exercise. Or I want to feel healthier, but I don't know where to start. Or I want to eat healthier, but I don't have the money. They're in this place of high level of anxiety about their physical appearance, their self-esteem related to it, or their health, but they've identified the problem as being the weight. And even though they can say, I want to get in shape or I want to eat healthier, they still are focused on the problem rather than the solution that is available to them. To develop a solution-focused approach, you must decide, Fit Mama, to let go of the emotions and the excuses and focus on the parts of the situation that are under your control. If you don't have the time to exercise, but you know you would be more productive and more energized if you did, then start looking for things in your schedule that you can move around or cut out completely so that you can create more time. You will not make more time, but you can take more time. It is your time. We all have the same amount of time. So take your time, claim your space in time, and it will be yours. Instead of thinking that your workout is taking you away from your kids, perhaps focus on a solution that while you're exercising and listening to an educational or inspirational podcast, you are improving. You are refilling your own cup and changing your perspective on what this habit entails will allow you to create that space and time for it in your schedule because you will value it. You won't feel guilt around it. Even just taking your kids outside and letting them play at the park and then walking laps around the park or playing with them, climbing on the equipment, running around with them. There are ways to incorporate all the things that you want in your life to make it fit in with your life. If you don't have the money you think you need to eat healthy, then maybe you can cut out one of your daily stops at the coffee shop, or one more thing that you find you buy at the dollar store or on this trip or that trip to the grocery store. Start to think about where you can save money. Buying one less fast food meal, buying less food that is already prepared and preparing more yourself. Start focusing on the solution. Where can you make up the difference? Where can you budget your time or money better to get the results, to get the goals, to actually achieve and feel like you are succeeding in the direction you want to go? Choosing the solution-focused approach is the approach to succeeding in the way of your goals. When we focus on our ideal situation and how we'd like to live our lives, we can start to see the solutions available to us. Who do you know that finds time to fit in exercise no matter what? Can you ask them for some advice? Who do you know that eats healthy on a budget? Can you follow some of their suggestions to do the same? How can you get help with the kids so you don't feel overwhelmed? Who can help you with your to-do list or your groceries or your food prep or your vacuuming? Who can help you? When we get too caught up in the problem, it becomes an endless cycle of complaining and then justifying and then making up excuses. And then we just give up because it's too hard. And we come out of alignment with telling the truth, right? We realize that these excuses are just excuses. And we don't even want to say them out loud because we know that we're just lying to ourselves and it feels out of alignment. So it just feels bad. So we end up giving up. But if you want something bad enough, it isn't too hard. You know it. You've had that energy within you before. It's worth every minute and every ounce of effort to work towards being a better you. Remember not to beat yourself up and just take things one moment at a time. Your next choice is the most important one you'll ever make, Fit Mama. In each moment, choose to focus on the solutions to combating your stressors, your triggers for anxiety, the things you've learned to be helpless about. They are not the problem, but they are going to contribute to the solution when you can identify them and focus on what you can do. When it comes to moving forward with your goals, whether they are to get more workouts in or take more time for silence and meditation or take more walks in nature, listen to music, call more friends, doesn't matter what the goal, it matters what you focus on. Focus on what you can do, how it can work, who can help you. This will start to trigger that part of your brain that looks for the solutions, not the problems. A key piece to this lies in the fact that action needs to be taken, and being stuck on a problem or stuck in that external locus of control mindset is exactly what keeps us stuck. It keeps us in that paralysis by analysis, making excuses, justifying ourselves, telling ourselves why others are to blame. It keeps us stuck. Should I get up early? Well, I'm probably not going to get enough sleep, so I won't even bother trying. I won't even set my alarm. I won't even get my plan in order. I won't even get help. I won't even tell my hubby. I won't even queue up my workout plan, and on it goes, because we say to ourselves, probably won't work anyway. But what if it were to work? What if it did work? What if nothing could stop you? Then prepare your clothing outside the room. And so when the alarm goes off, you can hop out of bed and just think, I'm going to just do it. Don't think, just do. It's always uncomfortable to do something for the first few times, but allow yourself to just get in the groove. Don't get in your own way with all your old stories, excuses, and sabotage patterns. Just take action. Don't ever question whether it's worth it or whether you're worth it. Know that it is, and know that you are always worth it. Take your time today, Fit Mama. Take the time for you today, Fit Mama. grab a cup of tea or a mushroom coffee, sit in a silent meditation or a quiet reflection, get out of competition with others and future planning and trying to control everything all the time. Take time every single day to do those prayers of gratitude for the life and the things you have. What you focus on grows. So just like focusing on the problems or the triggers or the anxiety, it will make more of that appear. So focus instead on the solutions and the appreciation you have. This will allow for you to see more solutions and more things that you're grateful for to appear in your life. Open those eyes, Fit Mama, and watch for it. The minute you look, it's exactly what you will find. Sending you big hugs and love across the airways, across the world today for a great week ahead. Hugs and love, Fit Mama. Namaste.